The technocrats are terraforming the planet using chemtrails and toxins and whatever else to shift or change whatever it is our immune system is, chemical engineering food, et cetera, and at the same time are using earthquake technology, sonics, explosives, what have you, to trigger a series of fairly large earthquakes. And they've got about 2 more to go. There's probably going to be like a 9.0 event here within at least about the next 3 months.
But we are the love crates.
We're
the love crats.
To alter the nodal axis of the Earth. In other words, to alter the nodal axis of the Earth and the electromagnetic pole of the Earth as well. And then you have the autocrats on the other side, which are the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, what have you, that are basically just building us a big cage. So, okay, next question. Let me see. How about... Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Audrey. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Speak up.
You just mentioned love, and
Please.
that's what I want to talk about,
Go.
guys, because there's a lot of conversation that's going here that can bring up a lot of fear.
Pull in the mic.
And there
Watch the water.
entities come through and they say that there's only 2 things to pick from, love or fear. And this is part of our experience. This is what we're doing through eternally experiencing. So this is part that we must come to love and that vibration with all of these things we're going to be facing for ourselves and out to all others. So that's why this is about the evolution of mankind. And this is all the things that we're going through with the evolution of mankind. And we want to come out in the end.
Humankind.
Yes. Humankind, exactly. Man and womankind.
Humans.
Yes, humankind. To come to our evolution. So if we sit in fear of all these things that we're facing through our experiences, we're not going to get there. We want to also remember through all of that to come to the higher vibrations, love for self and now to others, to get through all these experiences that we're going to be having.
Who wants to get through them?
Because that's what it is. It's experiences. Experiences. Yes, experience it, whatever it may be.
Audrey, thank you. Thank you very much, Audrey. Thank you. And again, sweetheart. Thank you for speaking up. You're on a panel of course, very aggressive, dynamic personalities.
Yes. I'm so honored to be.
Actually, the gentleman.
Rightfully so.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I really can't conjecture or care too much about why the Earth is being changed by these people. I would like to make it more specific and personally as spiritual warriors here and myself. I have been a spirit activist. I have firebombed offices in the 70s. Yes, I'm on camera. It's okay, they know about me already, and I served my time. I affected no change. Now, as a spirit warrior, I completely vibe with the messengers of love.
You're changing me now.
Messengers of love, and I'd like a specific action on what I could, even though we are manifesting higher vibrations and we are bringing love as co-creators. What can we specifically do in this realm to call in a higher Vedic, the old governing structure of a spiritually based governing structure that's based on higher values? Is there anything specific
that we can do to call in a spiritual hierarchy government structure?
No, a system, a methodology.
A system or methodology that's based on the higher spirit. Okay, thank you, sir. That's a good question. Wow.
I'll try it.
No. Okay, actually, Audrey, take it, please, Audrey.
Okay.
Let Audrey talk, please. Audrey, take it. Take it.
Again, as we are on these evolutionary paths that we are taking, and spirituality is the way that's leading us there. This is how we're raising our consciousness and our vibration. And as the old falls away, entity comes in and says, there are many that are still sleeping, and they want to create what these lower vibrations they're creating. Those are going to fall away, and they say the sleeping generations are going to pass away. And the newer vibrations, new generations are coming in higher and higher.
New generations of consciousness.
Yes, of consciousness.
Not persons.
Well, persons as well, because they're holding that consciousness. So the new generations. Yes,
new generation.
Exactly. We've set the cornerstones. Yes. So this will come to pass as we get there on evolutionary. You cannot push it. You cannot push against, which is what's happening now, trying to push against. It's going to be placed higher and higher, and then it will come to be. And as we are all warriors, to have that heaven on earth come back. And you are renegade spirits who are beginning this journey, right? We are the beginning journey of what's going to be.
The spiritual terrorist.
Yes.
Okay.
The revolution of light and love. Revolution in the word is love.
Actually, Diana.
Okay, wait. Let me listen. This is my answer.
All right.
if you ever, all my stuff is about, all my today at 2 and at 4 o'clock, my stuff is about these kind of answers because I spend a lot of time around people in transition. Okay, so from a near-death experience to 2,006 people going from this world to the next, I study what mattered to them and what each of us are going to go through, and I try to back-engineer that consciousness. But if you're looking for the methodology, and it comes from yogas and all of this, it's just about your breath. People don't get it. You're an air being. I mean, you eat and do all that, but you're an air being. And it's an autonomic place. So you first think, what if I didn't breathe automatically? How important would that breath be? And how deep would I take those if I didn't do it automatically, knowing that that's the system that causes you to stay connected to this world? So what you do is you look at your love and your belief about it. And you will realize that the greatest crisis we as spiritual beings have made in the last 5,000 years, the greatest crisis, is that what we didn't do is take the value of that breath, using it to look at our love and placing a value on our love before we gave it. We waited, our belief system has allowed everybody else to affect the value of our love of sharing and giving and caring. It's become godless capitalism on the grandest scale that Sean talks about. But down here where I live, with people going from this world to the next.
But I guess what he's asking for is a formula, Danny.
Breathe in, put in place a value on your breath in love. We do not give, we give love hoping that when someone gives it back to us, it's as meaningful as why we gave it. Instead, we don't place a value on it, and we allow them to tell us the value of our love, and we either adopt that or we don't. What's the value of your love based on every breath you take? What's the value of your love so that you begin to see the world around you for what it is by how people react to the value you placed upon it?
I agree. But however, when we're talking about development and I'm thinking about direction, and that's what the question was, and to be more concise and precise, 3, 4, or 5 years ago, I put together a workbook that's called Mystic Warrior Development. So that workbook is downstairs on my table, and it tells you exactly what a mystic magenta warrior is. You see, as Sean and everyone was talking about the magenta children and the evolution of them coming forward, I was way... Yes. I was way ahead of time. Indigo, well, that's right. It was indigo, now it's magenta. I'm sorry. Okay. So, because we're in the next stage. So, anyway, it talks about the transition from the indigo to the magenta and the mystic warriors and their battles and what they're supposed to be developing at this time. So if you're very interested in the formula itself, the formula is downstairs. It's a workbook that you can read all about the development and this time of where you're supposed to be and get assessed on your gifts and your powers. Thank you.
And the challenge for what you're talking about is it's sort of like saying, you know, anarchists organize, individualists unite. It's an oxymoron, really. And a lot of people think that from each according to his ability and to each according to his need comes from Karl Marx, but it actually comes from Paul out of the New Testament. Yeah, so which it does. And even though it's the basis of communism itself, and doesn't really seem to work on a personal level unless you're actually involved in a spiritual community. And of course, what you've seen is a majority of spiritual communities have a tendency to always become dictatorial, monolithic, and ultimately fascist, which is a real challenge. So, who knows? The biggest thing I think you should do is you've got to just support people in power who are. You just have to start supporting integrity. And let me give you an example of this. I wrote letters in to support Rand Paul. As an example, when Rand Paul stood up for 13 hours and said, look, I want an answer from the Attorney General as to whether or not it's okay to use robotic drones to murder people in the United States. And Eric Withholder, came along as who's supposed to be the top cop and law enforcement agency, in the U.S. After 13 hours, Rand Paul holding up the entire Senate, Eric Holder said, no. That was his response. And again, we have win, lose, or draw. I kept telling you that George Bush was not going to be the dangerous guy. That everything that George Bush was setting up was the whole totalitarian system he was setting up was going to be for the next person that was coming along. And I told you it wasn't going to be Hillary Clinton. And now we have Barack Obama, and we have, whether or not it's him or anybody else, we now have a president of the United States who has an assassination czar, a guy who comes with him a list of people of who he's going to kill today. And we're looking at 30,000 robotic drones within 2 years. You're looking at a Bluffdale National Security Agency system that's going to open in Bluffdale, Utah, 9,000 polygamists here, and a multi-billion facility here. So within 2 years, and the head of the agency quit when he said that the National Security Agency 4 years ago started completely ignoring the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And he said, I'm out. I'm done. And within 2 years, you're going to have a turnkey totalitarian superstate where everything you say, everything you see, everything that transmits through the air, they will be the lords of the air. And we're the ones that have to stand up and either stop it, say no, and start supporting people in power that have some kind of integrity. The challenge is
a lot of trash.
They don't really have. They don't have a lot of integrity.
Start talking a lot of trash.
Next question. People, who's taking notes? Who has a notepad? Who has a notepad taking notes? Yes, dear. Yes, go ahead.
I want to know how many people here saw the bright light in the sky last night.
Oh.
It was a meteor directly over our hotel.
Wow.
A UFO or a shooting star lighting up the room and outside our hotel around 4 to 4:20 a.m. in the morning.
Jeez.
It was around 4:11 and 4:11 is information.
Yeah.
Could people please raise their hands if they saw that light in the sky this morning?
Anybody look up?
They were coming.
Anybody?
They were coming to get Sean and James.
But Sean first.
Hold on. Last night, 10 o'clock, look in the sky, shooting star, amazing. Thank you, dear. You're one of the chartreuse children, too, I see. So it's very pretty. Yes, ma'am.
Green myself.
I just need a clarification.
Yes.
You said that the Constitution is what protects us, the government, from the government. You said there's a code that...
United States Code.
What code?
The U.S. Code, USC, the United States.
They can do to us.
Yeah, everything they can do. Well, actually, again, my comment being is that the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights is about 30 pages, and we would think that it would lay out a series of protections. And once again, the premise of the Constitution is that your rights come from God and that they are God-given. Therefore, the government does not give you rights. If the government gave you rights, the government is allowed to take those rights away.
Call itself God.
And call itself God, in essence. But what happens is that they create a corporate entity. They create for example, I'll give you an idea. Anybody here in this room ever been fined without a jury trial more than $20? Anybody? Pretty much everybody, right? You've all been. It's New York, the land of fines, as an idea. By the way, for example, they are not fines. They are actually called public exactions. And no public exaction can be paid with privately printed, irredeemable promissory notes. Seriously?
That's a good one too, Sean.
I'm surprised